outside? Should I run and hide? How do I take my company worldwide? Do you love the law? Did you watch Hee-Haw? What's the weirdest thing that you ever saw? What's it like in court? Favorite sport? Can you help with my book report? Is my hair too long? Am I right or wrong? And do you mind if I sing along to anything? Ask Alan anything in the world.
Hello, everybody. Good to see you. Welcome to this episode of Ask Alan, the podcast. I'm Alan Crone, the CEO of the Crone Law Firm. And it is with great pleasure that I introduce our guest today, and that's Ms. Denise Higdon. Denise and I have known each other for a number of years. We met at the Society of Entrepreneurs at their roundtable lunches a year or two ago, or maybe longer. And she's one of the great Memphis, Tennessee entrepreneur stories, and I'm just anxious to have her share that with all of you. Denise, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me, Alan. I really appreciate it. I decided that since I've got all this stuff in my lungs outside anyway, I'm just doing this outside because it's too beautiful not to. So I feel like I'm maybe too bright and shiny right now.
Oh, you look good.
For you. Anything for you,
this
Alan.
is the time of year when it's bright, sunshine outside. You got to take advantage of it because in 2 hours there may be a tornado.
Correct. Like yesterday. You know what? It didn't stop us at all. Like we've been through it before.
All right. Now, Denise owns and is the CEO of a company called Worksite Consultants. And Denise, tell us a little bit about what you do and how you add value to your relationship with your customers.
So basically what we do at Worksite Consultants is we make sure that people can physically do the work that you hire them to do. It's pretty basic and pretty simple stuff, but it amounts to a lot of savings or cost savings for our clients in terms of productivity for their employees, and keeping people on the job, getting them back to work when they're ready to come back to work. And a lot of times really keeping them from getting hurt or making sure you hire the right people on the front end.
So you do testing pre-employment as well?
We do. So we do a lot of pre-employment testing, and then we do, a lot of stuff on the back end too, because people get hurt. And sometimes it's not just at work, they're in an accident at home. Like, oops, I fell off the ladder. But it impacts their ability to be able to do their job for a while. And so we do it on both ends.
And, how important is it? Well, let me ask it this way. How often do you see employers who really don't understand what the physical needs of of a particular job is?
Unfortunately, we do see it quite often. And I think that over time also jobs change. So the jobs change sometimes. The way that employees do the jobs aren't necessarily as the employers intend, because I think human nature is they'll do it the way that's easiest for them. And sometimes it's not the way it's set up. And so we see that a lot, not really anyone's fault, just human nature.
Right. And that's the kind of thing that injuries can come from that. If someone develops a shortcut or whatever you want to call it, and they don't really understand how that physiologically affects them, that can injure the worker, right?
It does. And body, I'm not young, so body parts wear out too. So, we're kind of all working against that, every day, all of us. And so we try to stay as able-bodied as long as we can. And I think that that's really what we want to try to do, is make sure that these bodies and these employees hold out as long as they want to be in the workforce. And sometimes beyond the time of when they really want to be in the workforce, but have to be in the workforce.
Yeah, this may be a little bit out of your area, but it always reminds me of a lot of my clients who have a really physical job, like, like being a welder or doing something else like that, where there's a lot of physicality to it, and there's a shelf life for that kind of job, and a lot of people really don't have a plan B for what that next chapter is going to be. Kind of like a professional athlete. All the professional athletes intellectually know, well, I get to be a certain age unless you're Tom Brady. I'm going to have to retire because I can't do this. Well, if they're smart, they're thinking about, okay, what's on the other side of professional sports. A lot of times my clients don't really see, all right, what's on the other side of when I'm really at my peak as a welder or as a construction worker.
And they don't. And I've also had some friends that I've seen them looking at the basketball goal, and I'm like, I know you want to dunk that basketball, but I'm gonna go ahead and get the ibuprofen and the ice ready because this is gonna end ugly. And then you get some surprises too, because we've had some. He was a 72-year-old man, and he came in, had been injured off the job, and they wanted to see if he was able to return back to work. And yeah, this man was impressive. And so it's not always based on age, really. And I think that that's a little bit of a misperception. Sometimes it's not just age. There are a lot of people who age really well and can continue to do it. And then there are some of those people who their bodies do wear out and there isn't a plan. And there's almost nowhere for them to go. They're limited by life factors. And so they do have to stay where they are, and they do need to be able to do it. And what we generally see is there are a lot of good, hardworking, well-intended employees out there who want to do a good job. And they want to stay at work because it's been their life for forever. And that's where their friends are. That's where their community is. And they want to be there. And so we really want to help those people be able to do that. It's good for the employee. It's good for the community, and it's good for that employer.
Sure. And one of the great things about your service for employers is you can take that subjective element out of it. The example of the 72-year-old man that you're talking about, our age bias might say, well, of course you can't perform this job at 72 because it would be exceptional. Well, if you've got objective criteria and the man can meet the subjective criteria, then he can work. And conversely, if someone's 22 and can't do the lifting or whatever, even though they may appear, this way there's an objective criteria that you can benchmark against.
And we've had that almost exact example happen. We had an older gentleman come in, applied for a specific position, another we'll call him young guy. And he was about my size. So, he was a young, small, wiry, let's call him wiry guy. Two of them show up and one of them didn't make it, they didn't pass the physical requirements of the test. And when we contacted the employer to let them know, we said, well, you got one and you lost one. And they're like, oh yeah, we didn't think he'd make it. And I'm like, not the one you think.
Yeah.
And I think that was the moment when they realized that there is that bias. You think that you can look at somebody and know what they can do. And there are times when you're just not right.
Yeah, I've been on the side of that where I have, you mentioned most people just want to work. And, I have seen that more than I have seen, the person who just wants to get out of something. And one of the toughest conversations is to have that conversation with the former, someone who just wants to work at their job, but now because of an injury or because of the passage of time or whatever it is, they can't do it anymore. And that's a hard conversation to have with somebody.
It is. And, I know, because you were Alan Crone, the attorney, but there's a process for it too. So if they can't go back and they aren't physically able to do it, there's the ADA, there's an interactive process. But it's still a hard conversation and it's a hard realization. So when those football players are done, those professional athletes are done playing, that was their life. And really, there's no difference. These employees have been doing this for a really long time and it's their identity too. And so it changes for them. And I think that sometimes people forget that it's a crushing blow for them to be told that, you can't really do it. But the beauty of it is trying to find a way to keep them employed and keep them productive and keep them in a position where they can be valuable to the employer and fully valuable to themselves.
Let's talk about Denise Higdon.
Great.
So you started this, when did you start this company?
I actually, in 1999, technically, I was pregnant with my son, and I got restructured out of my job. And at 5.5 months, and if any of y'all have ever been pregnant or had a wife that was pregnant, 5.5 months, you can't hide. So there, I'm a little basketball in front, and I got restructured out of my job. And I had been going out and doing some testing on site for clients and some wellness programs, and have been doing that for a while with some particular clients. And so when I got restructured Friday, I went to them on Monday and I just said, hey, here's what's going on. I'm, not really working there anymore. Here are your new contacts. Nice to meet you. Great working with you. And they kind of said, well, what are you going to do? And I looked at my stomach and I said, I think I'm going to lay on the couch and eat ice cream. And they said, no. What are you going to do for work? And I didn't have a plan. It happened Friday. This is Monday. I hadn't really thought it through. And Tuesday morning, I had a gig. 6 a.m. I mean, it's not the best gig. It was 6 a.m. But Tuesday morning, I had a gig, and that was kind of it. And it's gone from there.
So what did you was it in your mind at that point that, well, I'm going to turn this into a business? Or when did it get to the point of saying, hey, I can do more than just what I can do here. I can leverage this into a business and help a lot more people?
So I think it's when the calls kept kind of coming in. Hey, can you do this for us? And my answer was always, I don't know. And then we either figured it out and made it work, or I found somebody else who could do it for them. And that's sort of how it grew. We just kept getting asked, hey, can you do this for us? I'm like, I don't know. And here we are. And it's grown because our clients have pushed us to grow and have told us what they need and what they're looking for. And we've been responsive and tried to figure out how we can make it work for them. And in turn, it worked for us.
What has been your experience as a female entrepreneur in Memphis, Tennessee?
First of all, I think this is a great city, and it's a great place to be an entrepreneur, male, female. I think it's just a great place to be an entrepreneur. I think there's a lot of support in the city. I think that there are a lot of fans in terms of people who want to see people succeed, because I think when people in our community do well, I think the whole community benefits. And that's been my experience with the entrepreneurs that I know, that those are the people who are giving back to this community. And sometimes in big, explosive, I'm on a billboard and have my own t-shirt kind of way, but a lot of them do it in some really anonymous ways and do a lot of great things that no one will ever know. And I think that's a beautiful thing. This has been a great city. The people have been great to me, and the companies have been wonderful to me.
Well, that's awesome. I'll kind of play a contrast game with you a little bit.
Oh, good.
What's the best thing about owning your own company? And you know what the next question is going to be. What's the worst thing?
Oh, that's fine. Look, I mean, I'm outside. It's, 2:30, and I'm outside at the house. So that part's pretty good because I do get to set my own schedule. I get to pick the type of work that we do. I get to, make decisions on the direction. I have the opportunity to influence the people who work for me and help make their lives better, because I feel like as an employer, that's really my job, is to make their life better. And that's a lot of fun. So I would say that's the best part. And I love to go out to those companies and meet those employees. That's a blast to me. I have the opportunity to meet and see some of the most interesting stuff. I got almost stuck in a rail car at one of our clients. I'm like, I'm gonna have to jump really hard to get out of this thing. You don't get to do that every day. And I went out to one client, and I felt like I was at an adult jungle gym all day. I mean, it was a lot of work and I was really dirty and sweaty, but fun. So that's the best part.
What's the most memorable occupation that you have measured. I mean, let me preface this by saying one of the things I enjoy about employment law is I get to learn about so many different ways to make money and to be in business. And you get, like you say, you get to see kind of behind the scenes. I get to see how the sausage is made and stuff. And it's fascinating. And it always fascinates me, the things that people get paid to do. So from your perspective, what's a memorable, maybe memorable is a better example of an occupation or a job description that, you know, you looked at and kind of said, that's interesting.
So there are a few, but I think the manufacturing stuff fascinates me. My dad is an engineer. And so my life was, you know, you fall off a bike, I get a physics lesson. I'm bleeding, but I'll get a Band-Aid in a second, but first we're going to learn about Newton's law or something. So I think those are the jobs that are interesting to me, because you're looking at something that they're doing that's repetitive, that's not automated, that could be automated, but somebody loses a job. And maybe there's a better way to do it, because a lot of those plants are older, you know, they were built in the 1950s, 60s, 70s, like me. And so they're older plants. And so there are a lot of opportunities for improvements. And that part I think I like, because I like the employees who are there. They take pride in their work. They are open and receptive when I come in, which is nice, because they don't sometimes know why I'm there. Like, why are you watching me do my job and you have a clipboard in your hand? And so it's one of those moments where you have to win somebody over. Like, hey, you know, I'm not OSHA. And also my daddy's not the CEO. So I can't make all the stuff and the corrections that you want me to make, because I don't have those sort of, you know, I don't have those kind of props in that last name. And yet they trust you to help, and they give you that opportunity to help. And to me, I think that's the priceless moment for me. I don't know if I answered the question though.
Oh,
But I think those are the moments that are fascinating to me. But I almost did get stuck in a rail car for real.
Well, I've seen just I'm like you. I've seen some fascinating manufacturing operations, and you know, the ingenuity to automate some of these functions is just amazing. You wonder.
I do like to get dirty. So I came back from one of the plants, and it looked like, you've ever seen, what is it, Mary Poppins and the chimney sweeps?
Yeah.
I got out of the car, didn't know it looked like a chimney sweep till I got in the office, and they were like, what happened to you? We know you had a great day because you were dirt head to toe. But I was really dirty. I crawled through a barge and followed this very wiry, let's call him, Hispanic man. And I'm like, boy, he made that look easy. I'm like a mouse in a trap, and I don't know where the cheese is, but I don't want to lose his shoes. Mm-hmm.
What's the hardest thing about being the boss?
Well, probably being the boss. I try not to have to be the boss, quite honestly. I try to hire good people. And really, I think through the years, I've learned the best thing I can do to be the boss is to support them, find out what they need from me, and get out of their way. And I think the hardest thing is to learn. It's the moment when you learn you're in the way and you've got to get out of the way. I think that's the mirror moment where it's hard, when you realize they can do it better than you. They can do it better than you.
Right.
And you get out of the way and you're cheering them on. And yet there's this moment of, oh, wow. And then you look at what they do and you're like, wow, they just blew me away. But I think the hard part is realizing that, you know, it's grown beyond me, and it's grown beyond what I even thought it was going to be. And then knowing that I'm responsible for it to keep doing that.
I get that. That. Well, what's the future for your profession? Where do you think the future of employee testing and readiness and that sort of thing is going?
So for us, it's going to really have to be on a national level. And so what we've been working on in the past couple of years really is having our national platform and system ready. We've got clinics, we've got a network of clinics nationally, and we're getting ready to launch a browser-based system so that we can streamline everything and collect the data in a way that we can communicate results faster. We can communicate the data to our clients and get them the information that they need. And we can also access it a little more easily so that if something does happen on the back end, we've got some data that we can look at to see if there's maybe a reason for it. And so that's really what we're trying to do, is get that system ready so that we can compete. We're going to have to compete on a national level, which is, it's a little daunting to know that to be true. Like I felt my chest clench right there, but it's so necessary because things are driven from a corporate level, at least in terms of hiring. And so we have to do that, or else, we're going to death by 1,000 cuts probably.
Does remote working affect you in terms of the testing? No, I mean, in terms
No,
of
I'm just
business.
kidding.
Yeah, in terms of your business, you think that's going to have an impact on you?
So, not really. For us, I don't think so, because the type of employees that and employers that we're doing the testing for are physically demanding jobs, and they require a physical presence.
Yeah.
So, they need somebody to lift something, push something, climb something, drag something, knock something down. And so that's not really going to impact us. Now, could my employees eventually work remotely? Probably, as we develop more of the national platform stuff, that will happen. But not yet, in case they're watching.
Don't get too excited just yet.
Yeah, not quite yet. I've got a couple jockeying for it, which is okay.
Yeah.
It's good for me.
All right. Well, Denise, I really appreciate your time, and it's been a great conversation. We'll have to do it again real soon. Denise is someone to watch as an up and comer. Her business really is exploding and taking off, and I think a lot of it has to do with, they do a great job, but I think it also, you can tell from just listening to Denise that it's a customer-centric operation, really listening to what her customers, the employers say, but also listening to what their employees are saying on the way in. And I think that's a lesson many entrepreneurs learn, either not at all or way too late, that it's not about us, it's about who we're serving.
Yeah, it's never been about me. And I think the second that it becomes about me or about us, I think it's over.
Yeah.
So I love what I do. I don't really want to do anything else.
All right.
Thank goodness.
Well, very good. Well, Denise is going to go and help people get back to work. I'm going to go get some justice. So thank you all for watching. Denise, again, thank you for being on the show. It's wonderful. And I'll see y'all the next time on Ask Alan.